In this Lightroom Classic video, we're going to take a quick tour of the library module, and we'll go through a typical workflow here of importing and managing a set of photos. Now, I've created a new catalog by going to File, New Catalog here, just to give me a fresh starting point for the video here. So I'm going to start by going to Import at the bottom left here. And we can use the file section over here to navigate to our set of images, or I can go into my Finder here, and this is the folder that I want to import. So I can just drag one of my files into the import space here, and then I can check all down at the bottom here. Now I could simply add my images, which will just tell Lightroom where they're stored on my hard drive, or I could go for copy as DNG, copy or move, and these could be useful if perhaps you're importing directly from a memory card, because you can choose to copy and then set a destination to copy your files to. But I'll simply add here. Now we've got a few useful options to the right over here. We can choose to add our images to a collection, and we'll look at collections in a moment. We can create a new collection as well if we like. We can also choose to apply some develop settings here. So for example, we could go into the options here. Let's go into the defaults, and I could choose to apply the Adobe Portrait Plus lens settings here. And this will apply the portrait profile, which can be really nice for rendering those skin tones in portraits, and it'll also apply lens correction for me. So we can choose those settings to apply directly to our images, which saves time when it comes to editing them later. We can also choose to apply keywords, and it's really worthwhile doing this while you're importing files, because it only takes a couple of seconds, but it can save you a lot of time searching through your image library in the long run. So I could perhaps set a keyword here that says portrait, and then I'm ready to import. So I'll hit import at the bottom right. Now in the Lightroom library here, we have a few useful view options. We have the grid view or a loop view. We also have a compare view and a survey view. If we go back to our grid view, we can perhaps just highlight a few images here. I can click on the first, hold shift and click on the last to select several images at once. And then we can go into our survey view, and that gives us a view of those 5 selected files. And if we like, I'll just minimize that panel there. Then we can go through them, and we can just X the ones that we don't want, just to get to our favorite of that set. So that can be a useful way of comparing your files. We also have face detection here, which can be useful obviously for portraits. And you can see here, Lightroom is detecting the faces within the photos, and it'll sort of group them together for me. Then we can put a name to the face here, and drag any unnamed photos that we know are the same person onto that face. So that can be another useful way of sorting your portraits. Back in our grid view here, we can apply a few simple edits to our images. So for example, let's say I've got these set of studio portraits at the start here, and they're all the wrong orientation. So I can just highlight them all, and I can use the keyboard shortcut Command or Control. That's Command on a Mac, Control on Windows. We hold that down, then we can use either the left or right square bracket keys to rotate our file. So I can just quickly rotate all of those ones. Let's rotate this one too, and these ones as well. If we go down here, I think we've got a few that might be the other way around here, so I can use the Command or Control plus right square bracket key for these ones. So I can quickly rotate the files to get them all the right way around. And we also have these options up here to apply some quick develop settings here. So for example, let's go for perhaps this image here. So I'll double click to bring that full screen. Now this is obviously slightly overexposed, so if I just want to quickly see if there's some detail that can be clawed back, I could perhaps hit the auto button here, and that's looking okay, but it's probably not a keeper. So that can be useful if we want to quickly apply some tonal adjustments to our images. But of course, there are a lot more involved editing tools within the develop module. Now we also have some keywording controls on the right over here, and these are slightly more involved than those found in the import dialog. So for example, let's highlight this first set of indoor portraits here, and I can go to my keywording set here. I could add more keywords, or I could go into the keyword sets here. So you can see I can choose the portrait photography set here, and this gives me a few suggestions for useful keywords. So I could perhaps tag them with fashion, and maybe I could go for headshots. And then if we go into our keyword list here, you can see we can just target those individual keywords. I can click the little arrow icon here to view just those headshots. So this can be useful for targeting a set of keyworded images, or we can hit our / key to toggle on our library filter options, and we can target by attributes in this way as well. Now, one of the first things we're going to want to do when importing a set of fresh photos is go through and pick our favorites, and we have a few useful tools for this in the library module. So let's just double click to bring our image full screen here. We can go through our set of photos and we can use the number keys on our keyboard here, 1 to 5, to add a star rating. So if we find an image we like, we can hit 1 to set it to 1 star, 2 for 2, 3, 4 or 5. So I'll set this to 1. Let's use my arrow keys to continue through my set here. Let's give that to 1 star, 1 star for this one, maybe 1 star for this one. So now if we go back to our grid view, you can see all the images that I've added a star to here. Now we can go to our sort options here. We can choose to sort by rating, and our starred images will appear at the top there. And then if we like, we can make a collection of our favorites. So I could highlight those 4 starred images there. I could go to my panels on the left here and click the plus icon in collections here and create a new collection. So let's give it a name here. Let's call it best portraits. So I'll add all my favorite portraits to this collection. Now, collections are sort of like folders in that we can create collections or collection sets, which can be used to house different collections, and we can add in images to them. But the great thing is we're not creating sort of copies of our images when we add them to a collection. So an image can appear in multiple collections at once. So for example, these 4 could appear in my best portraits collection, and also perhaps in another collection for studio portraits or something else, or headshots or whatever we like. So utilizing collections is a great way to organize your image library, because these collections sort of sit apart from your image folder structure. And let's say we want to add more images to that collection. Let's go to our entire folder here. Let's say got a few outdoor portraits here. Let's say we want to add this to our collection. We could simply drag it into the collection over here. Let's open it up, then we can drag it into our best portraits collection here. You can see that adds that file, or we can right click this and set it as a target collection. This can be really useful for quickly adding other images. So I can highlight another image here, I can hit B, and that will add that image to my target collection. So let's add a couple more here. And then if we go into our collection here, you can see we've added those outdoor portraits too. And collections are brilliant because you can find your collection folder throughout the set of Lightroom modules here. So we can take our images through the develop module in a collection like this. We can go onto these other modules too if we like. Now we also have the option to stack our images. So for example, let's highlight these 3 here. We can right click and go to stack and group into stack, and that's just a useful way of stacking similar images on top of each other. Then we can just open them up or close them down at will. And if we want to find out any information about an image, we can bring it full screen here by double clicking. I can hit I to view different information here, like the exposure data here, or we can go into our metadata settings here and find out lots more information about the image. So there we go, that's a quick introduction to the Lightroom library module and how to import and manage a set of photos.